Yo, 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 yo. We back at it again off a 1 week hiatus. We was moving and shaking last week. Leroy was
Definitely.
in New York City. Uh I was in Florida. I was trying to get to New York City, but had some flight issues. So Leroy held it down. How was the weekend last week? We missed everyone last week. How was your weekend in New York last week, Leroy? Tell us about it.
Awesome, man. It was just nothing but awesome. You know what I mean? As soon as I touched down, New York showing love. I have homies out there in New York showing love. Evil D, met him, popping. Pete Rock, met him, heard some beats that's just ridiculous. Like ridiculous, as well as rapped on them. Graf met him, Corey Guns met him. Everybody was cool. Math Hoffa and Mecca from My Expert Opinion, they're super cool. Showed a lot of love. I did a lot of, a lot of rapping, a lot of interviews, a lot of things for stuff to come. Pendulum Man got my new shirt and hat. Got my certificate of mastery of lyricism. You know what I mean? That's the big, huge frame copy. That's something else. But these things matter, right? I know some people would be like, "Well, this, that, and the third." But there are a bunch of inner chambers going on. There are different companies involved, and there are different aspects of adding hip hop to school, to academies and universities. There's the psychological chamber, there's the business and marketing chamber, there's the there's all different kind of things. It gets into we had a sensuality in hip hop class over there, but it even goes deep as to entertainment law, criminology, pharmacology. So it's just so much that goes on aside from just meeting a bunch of artists and everybody raps and but it is good to have a it is good to have a collective, you know what I mean? Because when I hear a lot of talk when I was coming back, about the next superstar. Well, how are we gonna get the next superstar? What should an artist do to do this, that, and the third? So it's just good to have collective conversations. And but New York was fire, man. Loved it. Look forward to being out there again soon. Next time we'll be in Atlanta. You know what I mean? So definitely, you know what I mean, to go out there and hook up with y'all. But New York was fire, man. The Mecca. You know what I mean?
No doubt, no doubt. NYC is always love, and we'll be back up there soon, sooner than soon. Just the flight logistics didn't really work out last week, so we couldn't really
Nah.
chop it up there. But Leroy held it down. But we got a good show for you tonight. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend and tell a friend to tune into the #1 weekend hip hop podcast in the game, the Weekend Rhyme. We're gonna talk a little bit J. Cole, Wiz Khalifa, cLOUDZ. Talk about the blog era of hip hop, right? What did that mean? Mid
Mm-hmm.
2000s, see what I'm saying? What did that mean for hip hop? Was it the last great era? We're talking about the streaming era, the SoundCloud era. We're going to talk about that. Wu-Tang Clan just dropped a new banger called Mandingo. The video dropped yesterday. And also, we're going to talk a little Drake because what would be a show when we don't talk about Drake? But
Drake. Just kidding.
Drake. But let's get into cLOUDZ remix. Let's get into cLOUDZ remix. cLOUDZ remix dropped. Wiz Khalifa popped up. And a lot of people on the timeline, a lot of people were writing articles saying this is nostalgic. This brings back blog era feels or whatever the deal is. But what did you think about this record, Leroy? Did you get a chance to hear it? Let's talk about the cLOUDZ remix.
I got a chance to hear it. Like I've been saying for a while, I'm not the biggest J. Cole guy. I'm just gonna be honest. Now, when I hear him rapping on other people's songs, he has a very aggressive, agile energy, which speaks a lot to battle rapping, aggressively rapping, and things of this nature. When I get the single, I don't get that same energy. Am is it me? So that's why there's a disconnect for me when it comes to J. Cole's singles, because I don't get the same energy he gets as a feature on someone else's record. Now, if this record is what the J. Cole fans wanted and y'all enjoy this record, well, then you let me know. I don't hate the record, but when we're talking about singles, you know, in the era I grew up in, singles sounded a certain way. And in this era, there's no difference between your single and your album cut. There's just the same. I don't understand that. You know what I mean? So if someone could break that down for me, because singles used to be the big song, and then you get the album. But now it's like a single's just a song. It doesn't move no needle. It doesn't do nothing spectacular. It's just a song.
Well, you know,
So I don't understand.
I don't know if it's a single per se. I just think it was like just thrown out. It's kind of like that Nas and Primo record, right? I think it wasn't really an official single. It was just a record to get get people talking. I think Port Antonio was one that he just put out there, right? You know, he's put some music out there to check
Right.
the temperatures, a heat check. But I don't think it was an official single per se.
But I don't know what you're checking the temperature for. Who are you checking for? If you're Nas or J. Cole, who are you checking for?
Well, I
Like,
mean,
you know what I'm
you're
saying?
checking, you're just feeding the fans a little bit of information, musical information to get you ready. You're setting them up for a larger rollout. So we know Dreamville Festival is coming up in a few weeks, right? We know the fall
Okay.
off may or may not come out around that time. This is just for the fans. Like, and I think when he did this blog, he created, I forgot the name of the blog. It was called something. He's got this little blog he's putting out, and he says he's gonna have some other people managing it, but he's just putting out ideas. So this may be just a way for him to share his ideas to his fans. So I don't think it's an official single per se. It's just some light work. You know what I mean?
I see. I don't understand light work. You know what I mean? I don't now. People watching, I'm posing some questions that I could make an answer to, but I'm for the sake of dialogue and back and forth. I'm just posing some questions, and most things I'm genuinely curious about. Right. So when you're just checking the temperature or just doing a rollout, you're already J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? Like you already have checked every box. So you don't have to play. You don't have to do anything. You could just drop, a bomb, and that's it. You know what I mean? Now, so I don't understand. Now, if it's not gonna be that, then the features is cool. But just a song that's just cool. I I don't know why. What's the purpose of just being cool? Like the cool, laid back song that's just a vibe, that's just cool when you're a huge star. Do you know what I
But
mean?
that
And
but
there's
that could
only a
be that
few
could
of
be
you.
his artistic expression though. Maybe he just wanted to put out some cool vibes, and I think that's okay. I think it's
Well,
okay.
everything's okay.
I've
Yeah,
never been one to say how an artist expresses themselves, right? If an artist wants to
true.
put out some a record like Clouds just to tap in, I got no problem with that.
I don't either. I'm just curious as to what is the reason or goal for that. If it's just purely artistic, that's fine. But only thing I would say is you're kind of a big deal, J. Cole. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know, but you are a big deal, sir. When you drop music, it's kind of different outside. You know what I'm saying? So you may want to drop a bomb on people. You know what I mean? Because your name is kind of big outside. So you can play a cool game like you're like the rest of us, but you know what I mean. You're kind of not. You're a huge mega star. So I just wonder why your singles never sound like that. Now, if you take that as a diss, I'm not trying to diss you, honestly, to be honest, but it's the only way for me to say it. um you have access to a lot of the greatest producers. You have a position that's very high up in the game. You have a massive fan base that is millions of people. When you're on someone else's song, it's like you're dropping a hammer on it. You know what I mean? And going crazy. Then when you drop your own songs, and this goes all the way back to all your singles, sir, except for Middle Child, right? Yeah, except for Middle Child. All your singles are this way. They're very cool, laid back, everybody relax. I don't know what we're relaxing for when it comes to your singles. That's all. Now, your artistic um creativity and perspective is genuine. You can release anything you want. It's your music and you're very successful at it. So who the hell am I? But I'm just saying, when it comes to you, sir, you have a very high level of skill that's very out of here. You know what I mean? So I would just like to hear that. That's all. You know what I mean? That's all.
No
Yeah.
doubt, no doubt. So when this record dropped on Friday, a lot of people on the internets, as they call it, was saying this gave them feeling of the blog era. And I got to thinking, Wale came from that era, Big Crit, Charles Hamilton, Asher Roth,
Yep.
John Connor. Who else came out of that? You had
Mickey
Chance the Rap,
Fat.
Mickey Fax, Chance the Rapper. A lot of rappers came out of that. J. Cole, even Kendrick could have came ASAP.
J
So
Electronica.
a J Electronic. Before we get into the blog era of hip hop, I want to know. Now, that question that came to my mind is that was that the last great era of hip hop, and who came out of that hip hop and made and really put their mark on hip hop for the long haul. I want to talk about Wiz Khalifa. And Wiz Khalifa, we rarely talk about him on this platform. I don't think I've probably done about a year's worth of shows, and we've never talked about Wiz Khalifa. So, how do we think of Wiz Khalifa as an MC? Like, where do we put him? I know he came out of this era as well. What do we when we think about MCs and we think about eras and we think about artists, hip hop artists of that time? Do we
Right.
think of a Wiz? Where do we put Wiz in all this? Where is Wiz in all this? Yeah, and tap in when. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Let us know in the chat. Where do we put Wiz?
Now, for me, I'm a Wiz Khalifa. I like Wiz Khalifa. I'm a fan of his. I like his music. So, you know, when he came through the game, I was with it. Cushion Orange Juice and all that, and How Fly, with Currency and all that. I like it. Now, the vibe guy for me. Like the music that you just vibe to, Wiz Khalifa is who I would consider to be the vibe artist to go to. You know what I mean? So and he does that well. Like his music does that well. Um, in the blog era, which I think should be utilized in this era, is it was just a middle ground between underground, mainstream. See, that blog was the middle ground, right? So now you have the pod space, and that is a middle ground, if you know what I mean. If and I don't see as many artists coming through this chamber, because that is very helpful. A lot of us became fans during that. But as far as I think the blog era was like the 90s era almost to me. But Wiz Khalifa, I think he's fire. Now his stuff on the underground, or stuff that he used to release on Dat Piff and different blogs, that stuff was fire. When we got his mainstream music, that was more mainstream sounding, which which made sense to me. A lot of people didn't like that. When his album dropped and it was very friendly, and that made sense to drop in a mainstream setting that way to me. You know what I mean? So, but I like Wiz. I think he's great. He's a great hook writer. You know what I mean? And that is very a powerful element in hip hop when you write great hooks. And his music just a vibe, and it worked well with Currency. His co-pilot. You know what I mean? Cause Spitter. You know what I mean? So them two together created a vibe during that time. You know what I mean? For the smokers out there. You know what I'm saying? So I like Wiz Khalifa. You know what I mean? I
No
think he's
doubt,
dope.
no
I
doubt,
mean,
no,
he a
no,
top lyricist? I wouldn't say that, but he is a vibe though.
no doubt. So Hip Hop DX came out with an article because they wanted to kind of speak on the blog era a little bit. They wrote this article back in December when J. Cole put out Friday Night Lights. He put out he dropped the come
Yeah.
up in the warm up. He put that on streaming on DSPs. So they came out
Uh-huh.
with this article. They said, they gave shout out to Two Dope Boys on Smash, those sites or whatever. And they said, let's talk about the top 10 blog era albums. I don't know if we covered this on the show yet, but they
Hmm.
highlight Wale, they highlight B.O.B., Asher Roth, Charles Hamilton. What happened to Charles Hamilton? We haven't really heard much from Charles Hamilton in recent years. But they had Frank Ocean Nostalgia 2011. They
Yeah.
had Tyler the Creator Bastard 2009. They had Earl Sweatshirt Earl 2010. This is blog era hip hop. If you're just joining us now, this is blog era hip hop albums according to Hip Hop DX. You had Lil
Mm-hmm.
Wayne, The Drought 3, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
Fire mixtape. Fire mixtape. Had Rick Ross, Rich Forever, 2012. They have Big Sean, Finally Famous, Volume 3, Big, 2010.
That was huge right there.
They had Wale and Ninth Wonder, Back to the Future.
Classic project.
Yep, that's a classic project. I will agree with you, sir. Dom
Uh,
Kennedy, The Yellow Album, 2012.
Super fire, Dom Kennedy.
What else do they have on here? Action Bronson, Blue Chips.
Super fire. Them last three was dumb crazy. They got it right with them three. Blue chips
Vic
out of here.
Mensa,
Vic
The Inner
Mensa.
Tape.
I remember a lot of people like that. I think I skipped that one, but a lot of people liked it.
And that was it. I mean, that was it. I mean, they had, I remember
Yeah.
John Connor during that time. I remember Wale. I mean, this Wale one was crazy. The Action
Uh,
Bronson one was crazy. The Dom Kennedy joint, the Yellow Album, that was crazy.
Hello album is crazy.
Um, Big Sean was crazy. This was great. This was
Yeah,
Dom
Big Sean
Kennedy.
was snapping.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So they talk about we're gonna do a show on the freshman cover because they had the 2010 freshman cover had J. Cole, had Nipsey on it, and Wiz. And was Big
yeah,
Sean on that? Yeah, and Big Sean was on that cover. So we
yeah.
gonna we gonna highlight that. But yeah, it was
Big
just a
Sean.
different. It was just a different time, right? And so we get out the blog era, right? And then we get into
Yep.
the SoundCloud era. We get into the streaming era, and I think DSPs. You had Tidal, you had Apple Music. I think YouTube Music. I think it's Beats. You remember Beats before Apple Music? It was Beats. It was Beats Music. Then became Apple
Mhm.
Music. So you got Spotify, you got Amazon. That kind of took out all the blogs out. You know what I'm saying? Kind of shut down those sites.
I
They really didn't
mean,
shut them down, but
yeah,
it didn't become the SoundCloud became the way to go instead of the blog. So you had Migos and you had
uh,
Future putting stuff on SoundCloud as opposed to going to the blog, right? You know what I'm saying? So it changed, and the streaming era
yeah,
changed
but
things.
it did, but comments though. Like we became friends with a lot of people through comments. You know what I mean? On these sites. Just like and I was in the super chats of according to hip hop. I was Marty McFly on Two Dope Boys. If any of y'all remember Marty McFly, that was me. So a lot of album reviews and a lot of shit talking. That was me. So but we created a community of people in those comment sections, you know what I mean? So and as well as meeting the people behind it, I think they just should have turned the cameras on. When everything else started to switch over, they should have turned the cameras on and still kept the blogs and just had a spot where they were actually talking about the music. Stuff is gonna transition, but the blog era, that was a cheat code because you asked what happened to Charles Hamilton, right? I don't think nothing happened to Charles Hamilton. I think he just did everything that he could do. And once you've done everything you can do, what else is there for you? You know what I mean? But everybody is going with the formula of, well, I'm gonna work into a point to where I get the backing from a major label. What if you don't get the backing from a major label? That is the question. What so does your career stop if the labels don't get involved?
No, I
Do you
mean,
know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
artists find ways to. I mean, nowadays you can distribute your music easily, right? You can record on your phone, on your computer. I mean, you don't need a label to get your music out to a lot of people. That's why
Right.
TikTok became. So I think we moved from the SoundCloud era to the streaming era. We got to the TikTok era, right? So you got a lot of these emo rappers. You had Trippy Red, you had Little Xan, you had Little Peep. Even Uzi kind of crosses over from blog era to this new type element that's out there, right? So you got all these
Mhm.
rappers now that's in the TikTok era, right? The IG era, right? So it just evolved. Well, some would say evolved. It could have devolved.
T-Vol.
It kind of devolved, right, from the blog era. So I don't know. It's just it's a shift. So to answer your question, I don't think a label is even necessary at in this. That's why the labels are so heavily invested, like Universal are so heavily invested in DSPs. That's why they're so heavily
Every
invested in TikTok, right? They don't
everybody
need.
we yeah, mostly everybody we pay attention to is a major label signed artist. Mostly everyone that we consider a rapper. The ones that are not with a major, we throw them aside. Just an observation. If I'm wrong, you know what I mean? Then someone could point that out to me. But what it seems to me is that when people go through a channel, right? Like you like the blog era, right? Once a label is not backing them, then their career is done. So what I'm asking is that formula of needing the label, because I heard DJ Head also this morning as well saying, okay, artists, you need the label. You're not gonna be able to survive without us. You know what I mean? Without the label. So I hear that thinking as well. I would like to challenge the people that are not signed to a label to still make it work without them. You know what I mean? Now, people would say, "Well, that's easy. It's been done." Blah blah blah. A lot of the artists where you think it's been done, it's a major behind them. Just gonna be honest. You know what I mean? Just gonna be honest. It's a major behind them in the shadows. So, um, in the blog era, the thing that was dope was a lot of these guys they came in without the cosign of a label, then they got the cosign, but they were able to build a fan base without the machine. That's very important when we talk about ownership, when we talk about a certain position. Now, obviously, on sometimes you will need to at least have a relationship with the labels. Do you have to sign? That's up to you. But a relationship, yes, to some degree, you will need the relationship. But that's the equation in my mind that has to be figured out because we're always looking to elevate, right? When the internet first started, believe it or not, people were like, this internet stuff's not going to work. You know what I mean? Because we were talking about the internet in the 90s and people were like, nah, like I'm going to buy my music physically. I'm not going to go download whatever, this, that, and the third. Then the DVD era came through and we're like, well, are we going to package up albums in the DVD? Man, that was the thing. You know what I mean? For a time being, right? Then certain download platforms, were downloading, then the blogs, then the streaming. So next we're gonna go somewhere else. We're in the pod space now. So I'm encouraging artists to come through the pod space because for the simple fact, you're gonna go deal with a major, but let's say the major doesn't back you up. Then what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Now, the pod space is not gonna do everything for you, but someone like myself, right? If you make me a believer, I come on every week. You see what I'm saying? And so that can really be advantageous for you. You know what I mean? If you make me a believer, when I first heard "Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind" by Jay Electronica, had he come through a platform like this, things may be different for him in his career. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Certain
and,
art,
and
yeah,
you make a good point. You make a good point, right? Because now we are in the pod era, and I think we should leverage these platforms to break new artists. I don't think anyone has really done that in this space, right? I don't think anyone has had artists come on, play a record, you know what I'm saying, spit, do a freestyle, and have it like
right,
organically done. So maybe that is the transition from the blog
yeah,
era to the SoundCloud streaming era to the TikTok era. Maybe we need to get organic. Maybe pods like ours and others need to
yes,
curate and identify talent. So with that being said, hit like and
yeah.
subscribe. And if you got any artists that should be highlighted, that we can play their music, we can interview independent folks is not tethered to the majors. um Drop us an
It has to
email.
happen.
Drop us an email, info at accordingtohiphop.com, and we can source that. We can become the pod A&R in the space. You know what I mean?
It
So maybe
it
that's what
has
we
to
need to
happen.
do.
because again, a lot of artists are putting all their chips into one basket. I understand that thinking because I know where you're trying to go. But if that doesn't work out, you see what I'm saying? You got to still keep going. There are those among us that know what cities that you need to be going to, what shows and festivals you need to do, who are the people you need to contact, and the publicists you need to know, and the DJs you need to know, and the program directors, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Not that we're the experts, but every little piece counts. That's all. You're just adding pieces. You know what I mean? And trying, because let's say Lupe Fiasco didn't his situation didn't work out with the majors. That could have went left. Saigon situation didn't all the way work out. Blues situation, Mickey Fax situation, Nipsey Hussle took years for that plane to really get off the ground. It was through his own ingenuity, but it's not like the label made that plane lift off. He had to use his own brain. Do you see what I'm saying? To get his lift off. So it's like at the end of the day, even when you go with the majors, you're still gonna have to, it's still gonna mostly be you because now a lot of them not even gonna do the work they used to do. They're gonna tell you to go do the work, and we'll be here to maximize, but we're not gonna help you. You know what I mean? The cool kids, aside from that being the coolest duo name probably ever, the cool kids in my mind, right? What they didn't what stopped them from getting off the ground? You know what I mean? So it's like B.O.B. His situation slowed down. It's like we gotta this era of potting has to be um like the blog era in a sense to where there's some type of backing of a new artist to where they're not gonna fall if a label doesn't cling on to them. That we have the strength to still hold them up. You know what I mean? So on a side note, all the infighting between the pods, not that we're still on that, but that can stop too, right? Because there's going to have to be some kind of professionalism or some type of platforming that can hold a very talented group of new artists. So that means there can't be any fractures, you know what I'm saying, in this space that could collapse that. So what I'm saying is I'm just looking forward because when you have someone like a Sci-Hi that comes through, or a Jay Electronica, or a Mickey Fax, these are very talented human beings at the skill of rapping. And it's just like when a major doesn't cling on to them, we have to still be able to have a launch pad that they can go from. We have to
Right,
do that for hip hop.
right. And in the vision, the vision that we're looking to fulfill, and I'll go ahead. I don't really care if people know
Yeah,
the vision or not, is to unify, the
yeah,
space, right? I think we should have a space where it's just like ESPN. And that's why we try to do that with, the weekend rhyme
right.
and the show around the
Mhm.
culture. And then we try to do some break off into sports and the politics. And we want to have a space in the pod area, the content component where we have everything. Now imagine if we weren't beefing, right? Imagine if we would have like, mic check come on at 7 p.m. and then maybe we go from 7 p.m. to 8, an hour, you know what I'm saying? And then you got Goat Talk coming on at 6 to 7. And then you got the weekend rhyme, and then Rap Roundtable comes on it from 8 to 9. And you got hip hop, it would just have
On and
different
on and
shows.
on.
It's
Yeah,
like ESPN1, ESPN2. I think it's more, we would move a little bit better if people in the space, but everybody want to get that plaque. I want that plaque, right? I want to get the plaque, that
I'm not man.
100,000 YouTube subscriber plaque. I want that plaque.
Of
So
course,
we're gonna get that, by the way. We're
of
gonna
course,
get that.
man.
Don't you worry about that. But it was, it's just, we got to come together to your point. But I digress. But I want to get back to the point where I don't think you need a label again. Because how many labels are there? There's no boutique labels anymore. Like back in the day, you had Raucus, Aftermath is a subsidiary of Interscope, but you had Loud Records,
Yeah.
right? You had Suave House. You know what I'm saying? You had all these type of boutique record labels, right? Tommy
Mm,
Boy, uh, you had Relativity, you had Priority, you had you had No
all
Limit
of that.
Cash Money, you had all these things, right?
Right.
Those labels don't exist. It's either Republic which I think is affiliated with Universal. Universal Republic might be the same. Interscope,
Mm.
Columbia, Sony, and then you got Capitol Records. So there's no, but the boutique labels are
Right,
gone, right? So you don't
right.
have those funnels where we can curate talent. And maybe that's what the pod game can be, where we can curate talent at a very low. Maybe we are the new record labels. We get these artists to come in, they spit, they drop their music, we distribute it to the people, and we do that. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, when we think of a major talent, we're thinking of the superstars of our era, minus the fact that these were multimillionaires. So we're looking at them as the standard. Folks, they're not the standard anymore. Like Jay-Z, there's no Jay-Z outside. You see what I'm saying? Like that's not the standard. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to come back down to earth a little bit because the problem with the majors is like they're trying to make their money. That's that's the issue with the majors. So regardless of who you think you are or whatever you're trying to do, the labels is trying to make their money. If they feel like they can't make their money, then it's going to be an issue, right?
And, and one thing, Leroy, before I go, I just want to say this. I saw people in the chat talking about Pod Wars. This is my final comment. I want everybody to be prosperous, do their thing. I will no longer make any, comments. Leroy, we won't do any of that anymore. Love is love. We appreciate everybody doing what they do. But I don't think we really should be beefing with anybody. If you ain't at 100, if you don't have 100,000 subs, you're wasting your time beefing. You're
Um,
wasting your time talking. Let's all get to 100,000 subs and maybe we can talk some slick talk. But until we get that plaque, if nobody got no plaques, there's no time for no beef. We got to put in some more work before we beef. And that beef shit is corny anyway. But go ahead, Leroy.
yeah, I can't do the beef thing. I'm grown. I can't do it, right? But aside from that, and even the subs, even though that's important, there is a job to do here. Like I don't want to lose the thing that there is a job because the way we look at hip hop and entertainment, the major channels, they are backing out of the game, right? So are we gonna stop this culture once they completely back out? You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't think there'll be just nobody. I always think that there will be a major music entity, right? However, we should have the power among us to launch an artist, right? So, how we do I know how to do that? No, I'm not professing to be the mastermind of that, right? I'm just posing the questions as to what it would take for the pod space to launch an artist. That's all. Like a major one that can compete on a major level. That's all I'm asking. Now, I think between us, the people in the chat, the people in the space, the people but behind the scenes and at the venues and going to these shows, I think we could come up with something, right? I mean, we're all on social media, we're all in the space, we come on every week. We should be able to figure out how to do that. And the reason why I think that's necessary is because we always want to have a balance, right? If we're going to completely depend on major labels, then it's always going to kind of be an imbalance between what we really think is dope, right? And what we really champion. You know what I mean? And that's all. You know what I mean? And as far as the demand for artists, most artists that have been around for a while have some type of demand. So the demand is there. What you're doing is you're again, people are comparing other people to Drake. You see what I'm saying? When you're making a comparison to Drake, you're not factoring in that that's a major artist. That's all.
Right,
You
right.
know?
But let me get to the super chat real quick. OJ Weston with a great super chat, man. You should be a co-producer of the show because this is a really great question, and this can take
Mm.
us down a different path. Well, not take us down a different path. It will continue us down the path to kind of dig a little bit deeper on this question. He says, OJ Weston says, "What's the best era of the 21st century in hip hop? Is it the bling bling, ringtone, blog, or SoundCloud? Which era has produced the most icons?" I'm gonna leave that up. I'm gonna leave that up while we dig through this, right? So
Okay.
Icon. We got to define an icon. An icon is someone that
Mm.
has longevity, right? I would say an icon touch the people, touch the masses. I would say the icon is an undeniable talent. There's very few of them, right? So let's look at let's break it down. Like, so I'm not sure what the bling bling era is. If we're talking about
Soldier
99.
Boy. Soldier Boy
Well,
era.
I thought that was the ring. I thought Soldier Boy was the ringtone era.
Oh, you're right. You're sorry. The bling bling is
Blink.
cash.
So I don't. OJ, you might hit us in the chat and let us know what you mean by the bling bling era. So you're talking about. I mean, bling bling was you talking about post 1999? You talking about Puff? You talking about
He's talking about the late '90s, the bling era, right? The late '90s, the
is that the
major
shine? Is that the
label.
shiny? Is that the shiny suit era? Or because I think
Yeah,
I heard it.
yeah,
I thought it was
bling
the
bling.
shiny suit era, right?
That's literally when Wayne is saying bling bling, like literally 98, 99. You know
So
what I'm saying?
if you put if you okay, I'm just playing devil's advocate here and playing, answering to the super chat. The
Right,
bling bling era, what produced Wayne, right?
right.
Um, he's an icon. So maybe that's just one icon. The ringtone era. Who was in the ringtone? Who was in the ringtone era?
None of those guys.
Soldier
To me,
Boy, was Nelly in the ringtone era? I mean, who was in that era?
but again, we're naming people that have major backing, so they should be icons based upon the number of millions they have access to.
Well, no,
Do you know
should be,
what
but
I'm
it
saying?
should be. But just because you have access to a whole bunch of people, don't mean don't make you iconic, right? There's only a few.
No,
There's only a handful of icons. Pac is an icon. Big's an
but it helps.
icon. So it's
It,
only
it helps.
so not just because you move. I mean, Ludacris moved a lot of units, right? Is he an icon? I wouldn't say Ludacris is an icon. I would say DMX is an icon. I would say that. I would say
I don't know what how many people, how many fans do you need to qualify you as an icon? That's it. I can't answer that. I don't know.
but we know what
You know
an
what I mean?
icon. We know what an icon is. Like let's look at
I
wrestling.
don't know.
You watch wrestling? You watch wrestling?
Yeah, well, not now, but yeah.
Well, there's
I mean,
certain
I grew up.
iconic wrestlers, right? You wouldn't say like
Right. Yeah. Right.
shout out to Ron Simmons and shout out because Ron Simmons was a dope wrestler. I think I used to see him in South Carolina from time to time.
Yeah.
Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect.
Like Macho
Uh,
Man was an
but the
icon.
icons are the Undertaker. The
Ric
icons
Flair.
are Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair,
Right.
Triple H, Stone Cold. Those are
Ultimate Warrior.
icons, right? Those are iconic people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't
Yeah.
know.
No doubt.
I would say
No doubt.
the blog era produced, if you want to say, did Kanye come out the blog era? Or was he before the blog era? Was Kanye in it?
Um, he is at the same time. I want to say at the same time. But if you say to me Kanye West is an icon, I would say yeah, that makes sense. Like again, to me, the major backing does kind of help. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like when you have access to being on TV every single day and radio, that kind of does help. Show me an icon without no help. Then we're having a different conversation. You know what I mean? But again, to me, Lupe Fiasco is an icon to me. He's not an icon to maybe this audience. But once he goes outside, it's going to be a different story. Once he goes to college campuses and MIT, and it's going to be a different understanding. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's an icon to me because we're not on those college campuses to see that, but it's happening. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Nipsey Hussle was an icon to me. We're not over in Crenshaw. We're not in LA to see what's happening. But that to me, that's an icon. You
Right.
know what I mean?
So
So
to answer OJ Weston's question, if we're attributing icon status to let's say the blog era, I can say
mhm,
there's four icons from that era, right?
okay.
There's Drake, there's Kendrick Lamar, there's J.
Yep.
Cole, and there's Nipsey. So we got
Right.
four. We got four from the blog era. Because I can't think of four iconic
Yeah, yeah.
MCs from there, right?
Well, I mean, Wiz Khalifa. Whether
Well,
people like
nah. Well, I mean, he ain't. Wiz Khalifa's not. He ain't. He. It's a bracket. It's levels to this. He's not on that
that,
level. He's not on
I
the.
don't know
He's
what
not on
y'all.
the. He's not on the K Dot, the Drake, the J
Yeah.
Cole, and even the Nipsey
Again,
level. I don't know.
there are different chambers. Once you talk to some smokers, once when you talk about currency to some car collectors, things get very different. Things get very. He's not an icon to you, but to those people, you know what I mean. Currency put out a million mixtapes. So to jet lifers out there, that's an icon. They've been throwing up the Jets for like 10 years, more than that. You know what I mean? So I think that when we think of an icon, we're letting a major label tell us what an icon is. I would like to know from the people that's not connected to a major label's opinion, what is an icon? Because you're naming people that are major artists signed to major entities that control TV and radio and media. So you think it's your own ideas that backs them up being an icon. Those ideas were formulated and marketed to you. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Sorry.
All
It
right.
just is what it is.
So to per OJ's, I want to be fair to OJ Weston. Shout out to OJ Weston. His definition of the era is this: the bling bling he considers in 98 to '03,
That'd
the
be right.
ringtone '04 to '07, and then you got the blog
Right.
era '08 to '13. So I mean, Wayne crosses the season. He's in both the blog, the ringtone, and the bling bling era, right? According to OJ Weston, if we're gonna set these parameters around those dates, let's just rock with it for a minute. So you got Wayne, spans all three. 98, '03, you got DMX in that era, even though I don't consider him bling bling, but you got DMX comes out of that era.
He's the
J-
counterbalance.
Jay-Z, even though he's before that, I mean he's 96, but I mean he's the Hard Knock Life is in this era. Volume Jay-Z's at the height in this era, right? You got volume 1, you got volume 2, you got the Dynasty, you got Blueprint 2. So yeah, I think you would say that
What
he's in the height in the bling bling era.
why and sidely, why do we need icons for? Just to let you know. Because I've heard that argument too. They say, well, icons got to keep the lights on. Do they? I think West Side Gun is an icon. I don't care if people have to agree with me. Once we go outside, it's gonna be a different story when you talk to the heads. Now people are gonna say, well, he needs to be more popular. Be more popular for what? Why would he need more fame?
What do you mean?
For what? If I say West Side Gun is an icon, right? And they would
Right?
say, well, he's not famous enough. He needs more fame. Needs more fame for what?
I mean, but no,
There,
I think historically we've
he
always, I mean, historically and socially we've always identified icons to be certain things, right? So let's go back to sports.
majorly rich and famous.
No, I'm just talking about iconic, like Kobe Bryant, like Shaquille
Rich and famous.
O'Neal, Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? It's something about an icon. You know what I'm saying? There's something about
How
a
many people are Michael
Muhammad
Jordan?
Ali. Like Muhammad Ali was an icon. You know what I'm saying? It's different.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying. I gave you the
If
wrestling
that's going to
example.
be the standard, if that's going to be the standard, I'm not mad. But that is over. So you're not going to get those guys no more. Now, if you happen to get them, and I'll be wrong, I will gladly say I was wrong. In my opinion, you're not going to get another Jay-Z walking through the door. You're not going to get another 50
And
Cent
I, an
walking through the door.
icon is like it's an icon is like you walking down if you're in Bed-Stuy, you know what I'm saying, if you're in Brooklyn or you walking down the street and you look to the left next to the bodega. Oh, I think they still got bodegas up there. Next to the bodega, there's a
Yeah.
mural of Biggie, right? You know, that's iconic. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe they have. I mean,
Okay.
I like West Side Gun. I like 10. I like Pray for Paris. I like Still Praying. I like all these records, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I won't go in Atlanta and see a mural of West Side Gun. I won't be in Harlem and see that.
So
I'll
the
see a mural of
mural.
Outkast. I'll see that. You know what I'm saying? I'll see that. You know what I
So you
mean?
need a mural.
You
You know
know
what I'm
what I
saying? Like
mean. You know what I mean, Louis.
these people are gonna say they're gonna equate fame to being an icon. Why do you have to be famous to be an icon?
Hey man, I can't be an icon with 18,000 subs. I can't say I'm an icon in the pod space with 18,000 subs. I can only be an icon.
Uh,
I gotta have Joe Rogan
no,
numbers. I gotta have Joe Rogan numbers. I gotta have Call Me Daddy,
if
whatever that chick's name is. I gotta have those. I can't walk around saying we
okay,
icons in this
let,
space
let,
and I only got
let me
18,000 subs. I just can't do it.
that's and I'm okay with that. No problem. Here's what I think. Here's my thing. If West Side Gun wanted to go on a world tour right now, he could go on a world tour. He could bring his buddies with him, the Griselda people. They'll go to every major spot around the globe. It will likely be a sold out venue, and the people there are going to be fanatics. They're going to be Griselda fanatics.
I mean, yeah.
So
I
in
mean,
his
you gonna have
mind,
K-pop. You gonna have K-pop groups that's in Korea. They got people screaming and falling out. And but they icons?
are we sure we want to use K-pop as the metric for hip hop? Because that's going to be a tall order. It's going to be a tall.
Leroy, man, you know what I mean, man,
These
by
guys
iconic.
generate billions of dollars. If we want to generate billions, oh, okay, but I'm just going to say that's a harder climb. If y'all want to go after billions, okay. But we
Listen,
keep putting the bar so high that it gets away from the actual music, and now you're a fame chaser. You are
no,
just a fame chaser.
it's just some things just it are what they are, and it is what it is. Drake in the
I hear
blog
you.
era, Drake, Kenny, J. Cole,
Okay.
and Nipsey had different careers than Wale, Asher
Okay.
Roth, Charles Hamilton, John Connor. Uh, Currency's
Okay.
dope. Currency's dope. Currency is a it may be an underground legend, but I mean,
What Currency did to me is more impactful than what J. Cole did to the rest of everybody else. Now, and I'm not mad at that. What Nipsey Hussle did for me is more impactful than what, maybe Drake did for everybody else. That's okay because again, everybody else is looking at, well, how famous is this person? I'm looking at what strategy that they bring to the game that could change the game in the artist's favor. We're looking at two totally different things. What Nipsey Hussle stands on as far as using technology and ownership and appraisal of music is more impactful to me than just saying, "Oh, I'm just going to go with a major label."
got it. So I'm gonna give you Leroy. Let me give you Ron's definition of an icon, right? Ron's definition. This
Right.
is my definition, and I just want to know if people agree with me or not. You got to have a mural somewhere.
Oh, come on, man.
You have to be world recognized. You have to be universally loved and accepted and thought of as the highest level in your craft. And you just have to have that something that you can't conceptualize. It's something that you just can't put your finger on. Like for
Okay.
example, there's Muhammad Ali, there's Tyson Fury, there's Larry
Mm,
Holmes, there's Deontay
mm.
Wilder. There's different things. Mike Tyson's an icon. Muhammad Ali is an icon. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
It's different
These
levels
guys
to
are
this.
also multimillionaires. So, yes, if that's going to be the standard, you're not going to be able to rap to me if you're not a multimillionaire because you're not fitting the standard here.
Well,
You know what I
I
mean?
don't even know it's about money.
You're not fitting.
I'm not
These
counting
guys
people's
were
pockets.
multimillionaires.
I'm not counting people's pockets, but Bob Marley was an icon. I don't know. John Lennon was an
I
icon. Michael
understand.
Jackson, Prince,
I
um,
understand. Even if
Madonna.
they weren't millionaires, the music industry at that point was making money hand over fist. Is the music industry today making the same amount of money as it was making during those times? These are just the questions I'm asking because you're going to have to reach icon status without the big budget. Good luck. It's possible. It's still very possible. But what I'm saying is, our icons had endless amount of money
And
behind their
you're
product.
right. You're right. You don't become. You're right. You have to have some level of support. You know what I'm saying?
Major support.
Joe Rogan is becoming iconic in the podcast space because he has endless amounts of support from Spotify. You know what I'm saying? Just is what it
Hello.
is. You know what I'm saying? But Michael Jackson had a lot of help.
No,
You know what I'm
people
saying?
don't
From
factor.
CBS
They think that these
Records.
guys came off the street.
No, no, it just doesn't. But it just no matter how you slice it, however you bake the cake is made. Some people have the same resources available to them. Like I said, I don't know everybody's deals. I don't know nobody's pocket situation, but a lot of people have the same. They're in the same meetings, they're in the same buildings. They royalty checks at the same name on it with the same routing and account number. And then some people move this way, and some people move the other way. You know what I'm saying? And it just
But
happens. You know what I'm saying?
the again, I'm not going to argue with the hip hop people. If y'all want the icons, if you want iconic status to be the standard for who you're supporting, that's fine. But you're likely to be waiting 10 years to see one of those or never see them at all again, because the likeliness of that happening is about 1%.
No,
So maybe we should look for new standards that are a bit more down to earth, that the normal person can attain without reaching for the hugest metric. Like, I want to try to be bigger than Drake. I want to try to be bigger than Jay-Z. I want to try to be bigger than Kanye West. Or the same level. I want to be as famous as Snoop Dogg. Uh, you see what I'm saying? These metrics are so high. I don't think that should be the metric that we're looking at anymore, because I don't know who's walking around with the support system to make them as huge as Snoop Dogg. I don't know who's walking around with that. That's all I'm saying. You know what I
I
mean?
got
So
you.
I
I
think
got you.
we should probably come down to earth some, and make it to where a West Side Gun, that can be a standard. A Lupe Fiasco, that can be a standard. Congratulations to him, 20 million records sold. Somebody else may be like, 20 million, that's not a lot of millions. Trust me, 20 million units is a lot of damn units. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, maybe we should come down some, because we're having goals that are extremely unrealistic in 2025, in my opinion. If somebody comes out tomorrow and they're as big as MC Hammer, I stand corrected, but I just am not seeing that's all. You know what I mean?
Right. So let's talk about something real quick. I want to touch on this because again, there's a lot of chatter that Drake, his career was deeply impacted. There's been rumblings from the FIFA president that Drake will do the halftime show at the championship at the World Cup, and I think this is a big deal. I mean, this is again goes
Yeah.
back to my iconic. These are iconic moments and iconic
Somebody
situations.
mentioned Takashi 6ix9ine. Takashi 6ix9ine got more clicks than everybody,
But no,
right?
but again, but Takashi
That
six nine,
so that
Takashi 6ix9ine is not performing at the World Cup, and he's not doing iconic
this is the
things.
metric y'all want.
But I'm
This
saying
the
there's
metric y'all
iconic.
want.
But see, Leroy, there's iconic moments. There's moments that are big. Like the Super Bowl was a
Right.
big moment for Kendrick, right? West Side Gun's not doing the Super Bowl. Wale's not
Does
doing the Super
he need
Bowl.
to?
You know what I'm saying? There's only
Does he
certain
have to?
people. There's only certain people that can move the scale. So you talk about the World Cup, which is going to be in North America. It's going to be Mexico, Canada, United States. I think about
Okay.
45 different cities. This is
Okay.
big. It's one of the biggest sporting events in the
Of course.
world. So I'm saying that the halftime show at the World Cup never really been, kind of rocked like this. I think it's going to be in New Jersey. Is the final. I think the quarterfinals is in Atlanta and
Yeah.
in Dallas. But this is a big thing, and this could be like the biggest event in the history of sports, bigger than the Super Bowl. So when we speak about icons, we got to look at the whole picture. And yes, he's had a lot of help from Republic and Universal. Yes, he's had a lot of help from all his affiliations throughout his career. But this is a big deal. And this goes to the point I made a couple shows back. Yeah, for some sexy songs, whatever, that shit was whack. or it wasn't as good as people thought it was going to be. I wouldn't even call it whack. It was an R&B album that wasn't really for me, so I
I'll
can't
call
say
it
it was
whack.
whack. But it was for the ladies. You know, so my wife kind of liked it. But his career is not over, and this is a big moment. This could be bigger than the Super Bowl.
Okay, so y'all's metric is how big you are, and that's fine. Pause, but that's fine. If that's where we're going, then whoever is the biggest is the leader here. You know what I mean? So whoever that is, we'll just have to accept that. To me, it's not a big deal to me. You know, but it's to everybody else. Fame seems to be really important to everybody. So we'll go with most famous. As far as Drake and what he's doing, Drake is already Drake. The chances of one of you people out there being Drake, you know, if that's the standard, good luck. But, you know, is he going to put on a better performance than Kendrick Lamar that's going to mean more to culture than Kendrick Lamar? Good luck. Good luck. You know what I mean? You know, but so that's it. Because again, we're going to go off. Well, it did this amount of numbers, and that numbers means that did like.
But see, Leroy, don't do that, Leroy, because
Gonna do that? What are you talking about?
you was touting the numbers. You was touting the numbers, but now that
But
Drake
I
got
didn't.
now that
I
Drake
wasn't
got the
the
World
first to
Cup,
say.
now that Drake got the World Cup, the numbers may look a little different in a minute. You know what I mean? It may look a little different in a minute, but yeah, you
Let's
was
say he
touting.
doubles the numbers. Let's say he doubles Kendrick's numbers. Because he doubles that, that is supposed to mean something to hip hop. Now, if it does, we can play those games. Again, where we're going now is whoever is the most famous is the best. That's the metric I've been consistently hearing for years. That fame makes you the best. So if that's the metric we're going on, we can go there. But we have to keep that same energy. We have to when we have different comments about conversations about Eminem, we have to keep the same energy. When we have different conversations about the next Takashi 6ix9ine, we have to keep that same energy. It's
But see,
about who's the most famous.
and I agree, Leroy. Let's keep the same energy because lots of people were saying that the Grammys and Billboard don't matter, but then when it came to Kendrick, all of a sudden it mattered. I've seen people switch up. I've seen people switch up in a matter of months. Before
I
they would
think
get
there's a message in
no, but
Kendrick's
no.
music.
Let me finish. Let me finish. They were saying before about Kendrick. They were saying the Grammys and Billboard didn't matter, but when he started getting on the Billboard and he started getting Grammys, now it matters. They were saying that the Super Bowl numbers mattered, but now Drake come out with this World Cup. Now it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? So which one is it? You know what I'm saying? We got to keep it a buck.
I think that if Kendrick Lamar was terrible at performing, then I think that I would say the numbers don't matter. The fact of the matter is he's not terrible at performing. He's actually pretty good. So to me, the awards was warranted based upon excellence in execution. If they, you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't just it wasn't just some nonsense. He went up there. He wasn't just doing this, no shots.
I'm no
But there
Drake
was
I'm no Drake
there was
fan.
excellence
I'm
in
no Drake fan, and I've said that I've liked Kendrick Lamar's 616 in LA. I like some of Euphoria. I thought that that
Did
Damn
Drake win the battle with
was
Kendrick
hold on,
Lamar?
let me finish. Damn was a good record. I think Kendrick won the battle against Drake. I've said all these things, but all I'm saying is we got to keep it consistent. We can't say that Grammys and Billboards don't matter when it comes to one artist, and then it matters when it comes to someone else, to an artist that
Uh,
you like. And I've heard that you've
but
heard that argument too.
you said be consistent. You just said Kendrick won the battle between him and Drake. So
Yes.
if we're applauding him after that battle, then that is consistency. You know what I'm saying?
No, no,
Like
that's
he
not what I'm
won the
saying.
battle.
That's not if I get on here and I say that Billboard charts and Grammys don't matter for an artist for one
I'm not
particular,
going to say that.
and
But
then I come back here a couple months later and saying, "Oh, man, he's crushing the game right now because he got Billboard charts and he's got Grammys." Then I'm not keeping it consistent. That's all I'm saying.
okay.
And we can't
So
say you can't cite the Super Bowl numbers because I heard people saying it's the most streamed Super Bowl ever. And now when someone like Drake, who I'm not a Drake apologist, I'm not a Drake fan. I don't like his music like that. You can't say, "Oh, it don't matter if the World Cup does a big enough." Well, you were just hyping up Kendrick numbers. We just got to keep it consistent. Is all I'm saying.
Whenever I talk to a Nas fan, they tell me, "Well, the numbers don't matter." So if we're going to be consistent, then we're going to have to take Nas out of these GOAT conversations if it's about fame and numbers. Now that's one part. Second, though, I think the reason why the numbers of Kendrick was talked about is because it was mentioned in talking points so many times to where you kind of had to address it, because how are you not going to address it? But again, I think there's a high level of excellence involved with Kendrick Lamar, that you have to see the excellence. If it's purely about how big something is, when Jack Harlow comes back through here and takes over everything, we're going to have to keep that same energy. Jack Harlow is that guy. We're not going to be able to say, oh, well, we're not going to be able to say, well, he's not really speaking for the culture. He don't have no real, he's not really spitting. No, no, no. We're going to have to put the crown on Jack Harlow's head. Okay, if we're going to play this game, that's what I'm saying. We should caution against playing the number game, because I get it, but if I am a billionaire, you know how easy it is for me to get those numbers. If I got a billion to play with, I think I should be careful. It's very easy. If I'm working with $1 billion, I can get them numbers, because I can pay whoever I gotta pay, and I'll have them same numbers. So, you know what I mean? But congratulations to Drake and all that. But my whole thing is this, Drake, you're betting on, and a lot in your fan base, no shots, no shots. Your fan base is betting on you just being ultra famous. My problem is you've been famous to me. I've only known you to be famous, so that's not a big deal for me no more. When is the level of excellence going to exceed what Kendrick Lamar does?
Well,
That's all.
all I'm saying, I'm not a fan of both of them. I like some of their records. I like some of the stuff that they've done, but I'm just saying, I'm watching very closely, Leroy. I got everything. I can chop up all.
I
I can
got it.
chop up. I can chop up all the episodes. Right? I listen to
Nah, yeah,
everything.
I got
I listen to everything everybody says,
it.
and
Right.
if you now if these Drake numbers when they come out, if they don't matter, then
I
and the
hear you.
Kendrick Lamar numbers don't matter now. That's all I'm saying. We got to keep it
I hear.
consistent.
I think if Kendrick Lamar had one view, it would still be a big deal to me. Like, we're in a culture now where how many people are watching you makes it a big deal. Again, if Kendrick had one view, I would call that performance excellent. Because my metric is not the view; it's the content. It's the content, even in this space, right? Because you guys only have this amount of viewers and this number of subscribers and watchers. I hear all that, sir. I am a what am I saying person, not a person that validates my worth based upon whatever numbers you
Shit,
see
I
there.
do. I'm sorry,
You know what I mean?
Leroy, when we get that plaque, that hundred
I
thousand plaque, I'm gonna
understand.
talk me some shit. I'm
I
sorry. I'm gonna
understand.
talk a lot of shit
I'm
when
not
YouTube
mad.
when YouTube
I'm not
sends me that plaque, sends us
I'm
that
not
plaque, sends Mike that plaque, sends Leroy that
right.
plaque, Super, Ronve, Servan.
Awesome.
When they send that silver plaque, I'm gonna
Awesome.
talk a lot of shit, but it's gonna be in love because I'm not. It's gonna be in love. But
I
yeah,
mean,
but I gotta get the
I'm
numbers up though. I gotta get the numbers up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. We got to get the numbers up. However, though, I'm never gonna lose my content though. You're not gonna see me come on here and become the pop guy today in pop music, yada da da da, and then start selling you a bunch of products. If you want, this or that or this new toothpaste, well, or this new, you're not gonna see me like, it's always going to be some level of it's going to be hip hop, not some level. It's going to be hip hop because I'm cut from that, right? And I think now we're moving, we're not now, but we have moved into a space to where just how famous you are is how we evaluate your music. And that is foreign to me. That's not the kind of fan I was. If you were underground, I didn't care. But when I was young, I would listen to cLOUDZ and then go listen to Jay-Z. And the two I didn't care that Jay-Z was more famous. That never entered my mind like that. So, but I hear you, and I respect to all the famous people, but I think hip hop should come back down because we made great um strides when we weren't worried about being super famous. Now I know that was a long time ago, the late 80s. You know what I'm saying? But we did make a lot of strides. We in the even in the 90s with the underground era, even with the blog era, even when we switched over to the digital era, a lot of people that weren't worried about fame had were able to go on and have a lot of major success. So is it the fame or is it the content? I'm gonna take the content. You know what I mean? The content has to be strong to me. You know what I mean?
Got
That's
it.
all.
Hey, yo, we didn't get a chance to talk about new music this week. Did you get a chance to listen to Tory Lanez?
I did not. I still on the Jim. I'm still on the Jim Jones because the deluxe version had different songs. But no, I didn't hear the Tory Lanez.
Okay,
It's
okay.
fire though, or what?
We need to come back to that. Let's talk to some new music real quick. Wu-Tang Clan dropped a video for Mandingo
Mm,
yesterday. I thought the video was dope. It was one of those
video.
kung fu joints, like kind of reminded me of it's kind of like what's that Black Dynamite, but it was like a kung fu uh
Right.
urban, black exploitation flick. You know what I'm saying? It kind of reminded me of the if y'all remember the Capadonna video slang editorial, kind of reminded
Hmm.
me of that. You know what I mean? And to be continued. You know what I'm saying? So I thought the record was pretty cool. I think Meth got off on it. Cap got off on it. I think Ray had the first verse. I think Ray got off on it. So Ray, Meth, and Cap. Um, I liked it. I think Mathematics did the beat. Or maybe Riz. I don't know who did the production. I think Mathematics did the beat.
Right. Mathematics. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought
Hmm.
it was a dope record. What did you think of the record?
No, I thought it was fire. I'm a Woo head. I thought Deck got off. At one point, was it Allah's math, marvelous craft, carving the path. I charge 2K every bar and a half. This guy's going crazy. You know what I mean? And Method Man, he was spazzing too. Now, I don't know if this is like a soundtrack type of deal or if it's like a project type of deal. I was just looking at it before the show, but I listened to the song and I thought the song was super fire, of course. It's Wu-Tang, you know what I mean? And we earlier this year, no, yeah, earlier this year we talked about Wu-Tang Forever on this platform, and now that album's being brought up in a lot of different spaces in the pod space. So yeah, now people are hearing what I was saying. Okay, now, Wu Tang Forever was not about being the most famous in the room. It was just about the content. And now people are starting to have different conversations about Wu Tang Forever. So what I'm saying is, if the content is strong, then it'll overcome the fame element at some point. You know what I mean? But
Yo,
yeah, I like the song. I'm looking forward to new Wu Tang. You
I
know,
like it, man. I like it. I'm looking forward to the new Wu Tang. I'm gonna go check out. I'm gonna check them out on tour. I'll probably go somewhere else. I want to see them in a different place. I've seen them in Atlanta before. If I have the opportunity, I would love to go see them overseas, catch them overseas. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in London. Um, maybe somewhere in London, right? Catch the Wu Tang and over across the pond. But yeah, I thought the record was it sounded like vintage Wu Tang. It wasn't nothing. It sounded like a record that they probably made, probably revamped or dusted off. But I thought it was good. I thought it was good. It was a solid record. Again, nothing. It was nothing that just kind of rocked the whole, shook up the scene. But it was a dope record. It was cool.
Yeah, I think Wu Tang now different levels of backing I do think is necessary. With a group like Wu Tang, I do think that some companies should step in and be like, look, we got these beats, we got these songs, and we're willing to pay you this much. Because sometimes an artist is already proven that they have a value in the market. Wu Tang, they have kind of proven already that they have a value in the market, and it's the business behind Wu Tang that it gets to be very complex. But we all know that when someone writes a check, kind of things people kind of relax some. When a check's on the table, people are like, oh well, I could do that. How many verses you need again? Okay, I think I could do that. A check will make you feel a little bit better. So I think with a group like Wu-Tang, I do hope one day we get another album from them. And if the business is not worked out, I'm hoping that maybe there is a company out there that'll be like, you know what, we'll write you a check, Wu-Tang. You know, put some verses down, put an album out. We got it covered, and we'll make our money on the back end. But we need y'all to keep the bird flying. You know what I'm saying? So that's
Yo,
all.
yo, I know you. Did you peep the RZA interview on the Breakfast Club the other day?
I did, yeah.
He
Mm-hmm.
dropped a lot of jewels in it. RZA dropped a lot of jewels. He said that Inspector Deck was the in the flood. A lot of the records, earlier Wu Tang records, I think the first to Cow from Method Man was lost. Inspector Deck's
Mm-hmm.
first album was lost. He had to remake a lot of those records because they were just lost due to damage. He said that impacted Inspector Deck the most. He said that RZA, this is RZA speaking on the Breakfast Club. RZA said
Right,
that
right.
Inspector Deck has dropped some of the most important verses in hip hop. Citing Cream, uh,
Of course, yep.
Triumph. You know what I'm saying? Protect your neck. You know what I'm saying? So uh, I thought that was interesting. He said that Raekwon's voice is like an instrument. Oh, he said his voice is like a record. And he said Raekwon's got an album that's about to come out, or he's working on an album that's going to be one of those ones. He said that the Jizza is the most active Wu Tang member that tours. So he tours around the world globally, and his schedule is
I
always
guess,
booked because he
yeah.
approaches music like a jazz musician. RZA
Mm-hmm.
also said that Old Dirty Bastard ODB, he never said the same verse twice. Like a lot of things that ODB did were like accidental. Like he would go in
Yeah.
the studio, record it, and RZA was like, "Let's do it." Oh, he's like, "Nah, it's supposed to be like that." And he said, "If you ever listen to ODB, he would never do this, the song the same way. His voice is like
Like
an instrument.
delivery.
It's from a
Right.
delivery perspective." So
Mm-hmm.
I thought the interview was interesting.
That was
Yeah, I
fire.
just thought it was fascinating. The Wu Tang got a lot of history. I mean, it's just a lot. I mean, to hear him say the Inspector Deck has some of the most important verses in hip hop history, I can jive with that. Talk about the how I think he said Liquid Swords might be his favorite Wu Tang album. And I think he
Mm.
said that Inspector Deck's first album that got destroyed, could have probably changed his career trajectory.
No,
Um,
for sure.
and yeah,
For
and
sure.
GZA. I didn't know GZA was the most active. Now I've seen GZA, a lot, what I'm saying, pop up, but I didn't know he was the most active Wu Tang member touring. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, well, one thing about Deck, you know, what I mean, I think whenever his first body of work was created, that's when Wu Tang is really in their chamber, like, you know what I mean. And then a flood happens, and then other members put out records, and then an explosion of success happens, and that kind of changes the dynamic, right? But whatever Deck put down the first time as an album, it probably was incredible. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that we don't have the technology to recover whatever wherever that music is or what it is, right? And I don't know why it can't be recreated, but you know, RZA was doing multiple projects at working on multiple projects at the same time. So I do see how it can get lost in the sauce when you got 9 guys or 8 guys, you know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. Um with Only Built for Cuban Links or Raekwon's ear is very sharp when it comes to song construction and beats. So he has the same level of ear as a Snoop, as a Rick Ross, as a West Side Gun. West Side Gun, when he's picking boom bap beats, his ear is very sharp. And Raekwon, when it comes to them Wu Tang style beats, he's very precise on them beats and very precise with flows and features of different Wu members. So the chances of him having a great Only Built for Cuban Links 3 is probably high. He probably does have that loaded in the chamber. Um, Jizza, as far as what he does, I would just say he's been speaking at universities for a long time. He's one of the guys that kind of made it cool even before the current crop of MCs stopping at universities doing what they do because his pen game is very precise. You know what I mean? And he speaks to a lot of different things from a scientific level, and I do think that should be included in academia. You know, I do think what MCs do. I'm just saying all of us, right? Well, not all of us, but a huge number of what MCs do. It is very complex, and it is worthy of being looked at on a college level. So Jizza has already been there. He's been doing that, and I would like to one day hear Dark Matter. You know what I mean? His Dark Matter project that just left the space, but I know he got it somewhere. You know what I mean? So these are albums that Wu-Tang, they keep an ace up their sleeve, and projects that could very well be fire. You know what I mean?
Well, no doubt, man. We're gonna get out of here in a second, man. We got one more story I want to talk about. It's a little fun story, but I'm tired, man. I've been up since six
It's all
o'clock,
good.
man. My kids, man. I got both my boys in soccer. Uh,
Fire.
and I took my boy to a golf lesson today, man. I'm tired, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been ripping and running.
Okay.
They got me coaching the team, man. They got me coaching the
Oh,
soccer team, man. I don't know. They got me so I've been coaching these kids, man. So the
yeah,
weekend rhyme is wearing me out. But I wanted to
no
come
doubt.
tonight to give with Leroy to give y'all a good show and use my mic because I've heard from other folks that I don't use my mic enough. So but
Mhm.
I appreciate the feedback. We appreciate constructive criticism. I'm using my mic more tonight. But anyway, there's one
I mean,
story I wanted to talk about. This is not a real, this is like a throwaway story. I wanted to kind of talk about it because I'm working on a piece called the top uh, 50 video vixens of all time. And it's going to be on accordingtohiphop.com. Um, my wife saw me writing it last week and she got upset. But this piece is coming together. But I want to kind of highlight, video vixens and how they shaped hip hop in a certain era and how they, made some of the visuals iconic and they made them, it's stuck in our memory. You know what I'm saying? So that article is coming. It'll be on accordingtohiphop.com, the top 50
dope.
video vixens of all time and the videos associated with them. But there was a story out of New York. This cop, she's a detective. I don't know. I think she might be in the Bronx. She was in a video, uh, doing what she do. And she's very talented as a police. She's very talented,
Right, right.
and so she's under fire. So she she's facing a lot of heat right now because she was displaying her other skills in the video. Do you think that hip hop? So you think it's okay for professionals to moonlight? I know. Kyle was a firefighter, right? Do you think she should be held to scrutiny for being a video vixen?
See, it gets tough for me in that area because I'm hip hop first, right? So my first thing is to always kind of side with hip hop, and that's what I'm gonna do ultimately. But I do think an elevation is needed in hip hop, right? So that elevation kind of might have to include your your ethics that you use in your real profession. When you go to your now, I'm sorry, and I know this to this young lady. There is a space for beautiful women in hip hop because I think that in these videos, aside from them just being objectified, I think we could turn videos into a greater stories of the interaction between male and female in these relationships, and they could be better thought out stories, right? In the video, musically, right? Because we talked about a theater aspect of music too. But as far as just like the behavior, right? I hope that they let this go. That to me is not a big deal. Like to be upset about that, I wouldn't be upset about that if I was a police chief or whatever the case may be. But I am saying overall, because of the need that I feel for hip hop to grow and take the reins away from the majors, I do feel that a certain code of ethic may have to be put in place. Now, and I know that's going to be very hard for people to accept, for them to do, for them to think that we're going to be on that level. But as MCs, people do look at you as leaders. Hate to bring it to you that way. As people, even the video girls, a lot of these video girls are highly intelligent professional women that outside of these videos, these are very intelligent women. You know what I mean? They're not just, willy-nilly just idiots. You know what I'm saying? So and young women do look up to these ladies in the videos. I mean, I'm just gonna be for real. You have teenagers looking at music videos, and they do look up to the rapper, the video person, the DJ, the whoever. You know what I'm saying? So because of that, I think that maybe a code of ethics may be necessary. I'm not saying we have to be angels, but I think we should know that people do look up to people in hip hop, and you do reach a point to where you are a leader, and that's even the video girls, believe it or not.
Well, shout out to Officer Vixen. Shout out to her. Thank you for your
Yeah,
service. You know what I'm saying? For serving and protecting the community.
no
You
doubt.
got a bright future behind you and in front of you. If this situation gets a little
No
shaky
doubt.
at the precinct, I'm pretty
Right.
sure you'll be gainfully employed in no time. But you
Yeah,
know,
that's not a big deal, man. You know that
it's
they
all
should.
good. It's all good.
Yeah,
It's all good.
you coming down, yeah, if she's dancing or whatever, that's not a, to me, maybe they have and actually they do have a code of ethics that I wouldn't know about, but I know it's there, but it's not a big deal to me, you know.
No doubt, no doubt. Hit like and subscribe. Please hit like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100. We want a plaque. We got to get 100,000 to get a plaque. We appreciate you tapping in with us on a Saturday night. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to rock with us, according to Hip Hop, the Weekend
Yes.
Round, the #1 weekend hip hop podcast in the game. Leroy, final thoughts of the evening.
Final thoughts is, I think the I'm always gonna say the future looks bright for hip hop. One, the hating on people that they do, people have to kind of learn to stop really hating. I don't pay attention to things that I don't like. What I notice out there is a lot of people, they pay most attention to things they don't like. I don't understand that math. But I just say that to say, that's one element. But you know, an elevation in hip hop is gonna happen. Do I know how that's gonna happen? Am I the leader on how that's gonna happen? No. But I'm just saying that at some point, it's gonna be like, well, what are we gonna do? Because these majors are not gonna consistently back all these artists out here, because they can't. Second, they're not making the same amount of money as they were back in the day. So, I mean, what are we gonna do as a culture? And if we're always gonna look at the most famous as the standard for culture, that math to me is not mathing. You know what I mean? So that's just my final word. You know what I mean? Like, I think Kendrick set a realistic standard. That's realistic. Now, you people could disagree. That's fine, but I think there's a realistic standard there. But some standards, just seem crazy to me. But that's all. We're gonna keep it moving, man.
No
You know what
doubt,
I
no
mean?
doubt. Yo, my final thought is make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know. OJ Weston's great comment earlier. The blog errors. Who came out? Who came out of those eras on top? What's an icon mean to you? Give us feedback in the comments.
Mhm.
Go listen to Tory Lane's album Wu-Tang. If you haven't seen the Mandingo video, check it out. If you haven't seen Officer Viction Shouty out of the NYPD, go check out her video. I don't want to give out promo to the
All
competition,
right.
but go Google her video and you'll check that out. If you haven't heard the Cloud remix with Wiz Khalifa and J. Cole, check that out. And
Mhm.
check out the playlist. Mike D made a playlist about Atlanta records on Spotify. Look that up. From 92 to, I forgot the year that ended, about 2023 or 2024. Go check out that
Dope.
Spotify playlist. Go to www.accordingtohiphop.com. The newsletter is coming back. I'm tired, man. I've been
Mhm.
coaching kids all day. I've been on soccer fields. I've been swinging golf clubs. Tired, man. But this is the weekend rhyme. Hit like and subscribe. That's Leroy Green. I'm Ron. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.